You are listening to the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast, the #1 place for spirituality, healing, and transcendence. I'm your host, Vivian Raquel Braha. Now let's get into it. Hey there, it's Vivian, and I'm briefly interrupting this podcast episode because I've been working on something so special, and I finally get to share it with you all. It's finally here, the manifestation event of the year. So excited. Manifestation Live. Learn how to manifest the shit out of your life. On February 1st, I'm hosting the manifestation event of the year right here in New York City. And if you are in the soulpreneur, wellness, or healing space, or you've been craving deep healing, powerful tools, and real transformation, this is your invitation to be in the room. This isn't just another event. It's a portal, a 2-hour full body activation where I'll be teaching my 5-step signature manifestation process, the same method that's helped me heal from Crohn's disease, manifest my dream apartment in New York City. If you guys haven't seen my terrace, go look at my pictures, go look at my Instagram. Marry the love of my life and build a 6-figure soul-led business that's now on its way to multi-figures. You'll also experience a guided shadow work meditation by Naz, a licensed therapist and shadow expert, to help you release any resistance, transmute fear, and fully step into your next level of self. So if you're really looking for that transformation, a place to really heal, learn, educate yourself, this is the place where you'll get all those tools and clarity, a roadmap to go off into the world and start manifesting the shit out of your life. And you'll meet some of the most incredible facilitators who've impacted my own journey, like Maria, who is an energy healer, Naz, like I just said, shadow work expert, Dr. Joan, a holistic health practitioner, Katie, oh my God, for all our VIPers, Katie is gifting her manifestation coloring books, okay? You know how when you color, you just get into that meditative state. Imagine you're in that meditative state where you're most susceptible to rewiring your mind, and you're literally coloring manifestation affirmations. So you're really taking in all this positivity. And of course, we have Joy Duche, who will be facilitating and healing through sound and breath work. And last but not least, we have Sari Dana, body positive expert and author. So for all those VIPers, I am so freaking excited for you all to experience our facilitators, our sponsors, privately 45 minutes before the show starts. And then you'll also get a goodie bag to take home. Plus, everybody else, you'll get to experience the show, you'll get to experience the talk, learn so much, get all the benefits from Naz's shadow work meditation and Joy Duche's sound healing and breath work. So this is a room where expansion happens. This is a room where manifestations come into fruition. So if you've been feeling stuck, this is a really affordable way for you to get in the space, get in the room where people are actually doing incredible shit. Breaking the barriers, breaking what it means to be human, doing things that every single day other people watching are just like, I didn't even know that was possible. And that is the exact mission, the vision of Journey with VRD. When somebody tells me, Vivian, how are you doing this? Or, oh my gosh, it's so incredible what you're doing and how you're helping people. And when people come to me and they're like, Vivian, I collapsed time. In 2 months, I manifested my soulmate. In 2 months, or 3 months sometimes, I manifested the most aligned friend group. I moved cities. I'm in a career that I can't stop talking about that's filling up my own heart. When people are doing these things, collapsing the time it takes, because before working with me, maybe it was taking them years, right? When people come to me and they heal trauma, I'm going to just say it, trauma, when they heal trauma, it's like, yes, I am so happy I gave you the gift of just realizing, of expanding your mind that it's possible to heal, it's possible to overcome, it's possible to get to where you want to be. You just have to believe. You have to overcome this fear, the doubts that come into your mind and tell you that you can't. And so at this live event, you are going to break those fears, those doubts, and you're going to actually get to collapse time and learn the tools, learn my story. I'm really excited for this. Tickets are now open for sale. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. You could also find it on my Instagram. You could DM me on Instagram the word live or talk, and I will send you the link there. And if you've been waiting for a sign to get to your next level, that it is possible and you just need the tools, you need to be expanded by a room of people who achieve the things that they dream about. They don't just talk about it. I'll see you at Manifestation Live February 1st on Sunday. Okay, I'm so excited. Now let's get into the episode because this is a juicy one. On today's episode of the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast, we have Atara, yoga and meditation coach. Atara also facilitates breathwork and sound journeys. On top of all that, she's a mom. One of the number one blocks I hear from mothers when it comes to putting themselves first or manifesting the life they love is, but I'm a mom. I can't be, do, or have blank. I'm a mom. So, Atara, can you let us know a little bit about how you can be both a mother and a soulpreneur, living out her purpose?
Such a good question. I think I would rephrase it to because I'm a mom, that's why I can do what I do, actually. Before I'm anything, I am a mom. And before I started doing all of the beautiful intro that you shared, I actually worked with children first.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw firsthand how these practices healed my life. And my youngest at the time was 2 years old, and she was struggling with behavioral and attention problems. They were diagnosing her with all the labels that they like to. And I said, you know what? If this works for me, I single-handedly know that this will be just as beneficial for her. And so she was 2 years old at the time in 2017. And I just had her get her head lower than her heart and just feel blood going to her brain. And she came up and it was like, you, she wasn't able to even say anything, but you saw the color in her face change. And that's when I knew this needed to be shared. And so from there, I started with sharing this, doing trainings to teach kids. I started a kids yoga studio first. I created art therapy kids yoga mat. And then I went on to train teachers in my children's school on a professional development day, how to incorporate this into their classrooms. Because, you can bring me in to teach yoga, which I was doing, popping into a class here or there, but I'm not there all the time. When the kids need to, regroup and circle back, the teachers who are there with them more than the own moms have to have the tools in their toolkit of how to ground, how to bring them back into their bodies when after 3 hours of sitting or, learning, they need that. So I trained a room full of 40 to 60 teachers to be able to incorporate this in their classrooms. So just to circle back, because I am a mom, I know how these practices need to be put out into the world. It doesn't make it easy scheduling wise, but I think that's all just, logistics of how we work it into being a mom.
I have full head to toe chills, body
Oh my
chills.
God.
I was not expecting that answer. And I wonder if many people really know that about you, that it all started because you're a mom.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important because having these tools behind you too helps you bring up your children in a way that they could be more aware and present and intentional about the way that they live.
Yeah, 100%. It doesn't always translate to them. They're at, an age where because I do what I do, they're like, we're going to do the exact opposite maybe right now. But they have the tools and they see it. And whether they think I'm funny that I am vocalizing an exhale, whether they think it's weird, they see that it shifts my mood. And so I hope to sprinkle it in the day to day for them. But these practices, these modalities, they don't lie. They're just felt.
Hmm. So it's really cool that once you were a mom, you were able to take what's been working for you and give it to them. But let's backtrack even further. What got you interested in yoga, breathwork, sound healing to begin with?
Wow. Okay. So this is a loaded question, and it starts a very long time ago before really these practices were more mainstream. But I thought it began actually in 2003. And then I realized when I was 15, I had my first anxiety attack in 10th grade in a very cutthroat high school in the city. And I remember feeling, actually a lack of feeling. I remember not feeling my body. I remember running down to a sub basement floor to get to a payphone at the time to call my parents because this was before I had a cell phone. And I remember not being able to feel my body. Everything just felt numb and I couldn't breathe. And that's when I had my first panic attack. Couldn't feel my body, couldn't feel a breath. And I was diagnosed by age 16 with an anxiety disorder. And I didn't know at the time what it meant. I just knew that I couldn't feel anything. It was this out of body feeling.
Mhm.
So that was the first experience of what does it feel like to not be in my body? Many years later, I figured out how to navigate life with that. Definitely 10th, 11th, 12th grade were not times to search for, calm with SATs in college and all that fun stuff. But many years later, in 2003, I was graduating high school and set to go to Israel for the year. Packed up and brought me to my ask very quickly because I came home from work one day. I was working on the beach in Westchester and my whole left leg was swollen just from one day to the next. The doctors said, cut out salt, this, that. After, a month and a half of nothing resolving, we started going to doctors and doctors and doctors, and no one said anything. I was scheduled for surgery to put a stent into my knee to allow the inflammation to leave my leg. The night before surgery, God bless my mom, she had that intuition. She said, call off surgery. Something's not right. Go above her leg. And sure enough, they found an 8 centimeter tumor the size of a grapefruit in my groin. Yeah. And then the journey really began. No doctor in the United States would touch me. They said this was inoperable. So I was no longer packing to go to Israel anymore. This is fast forward from June to September. Israel was off the table. Everything that was packed went back into the closet. And instead of at 18 getting ready to leave for my year of travel and growth, I was traveling the world, meeting with the top doctors of what to do. Sloan Kettering wouldn't touch me. I went to Boston. I went to California. And then finally, an angel was sent to us. And this rabbi said, there is a hospital in Texas. And it is a top hospital in the world, not just the country, the world. People come from Dubai for here, and it's a cancer center. Go there. He connected us to a doctor named Raphael Pollack at the time, who looked at me and said, this is operable, and I will take it out. Yeah, this was 2 years later now. So this is I'm zooming this up a little bit, but from 2003 until my surgery, June of 2005, it took. In New York, they told me, we don't know if we can help you, but if we do, you might need a leg amputation because this tumor was growing through bone and muscle and organs. So safe to say I had a surgery 2 years later in June. All my friends were in college, at the time, Facebooking their lives away on how much fun they were all having. And I was sitting in a lot of darkness, a lot of why me, just being stuck and having this battle of what was going on in my body. But again, having this feeling back like this anxiety attack years before of feeling disembodied, just out of body, no connection to here. I had a successful surgery. It was 9 hours. My doctor's hands went numb. He had to call in a lot of backup. They ended up writing this surgery up for medical textbooks for the doctors and, residences to learn from. Unfortunately, a year later, it grew back. I had to have radiation. I ended up flying to Texas for that because there's just no place like this center. And every Monday, my father would fly with me for radiation. I had treatments. Every Friday, I would fly back in time for Shabbat. And we did that for 6 weeks every day. And then the journey began of, okay, this was the medical part. This was, Western medicine. How am I going to get back into my body now? Throughout all of this, when doctors wouldn't touch me, I started gravitating towards diet as a way of healing. My mom, God bless her, took me to Philadelphia to study with one of the top macrobiotic counselors of how to heal your body from the inside out, because we were told there's nothing you can do. So I was macrobiotic, which, if people don't know, is like, it makes vegan look easy. Steamed vegetables, brown rice, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's it. Basically, the idea is that you starve out the cancer from your body. I have to say, I felt incredible. It led me on the journey towards realizing that food is our little literal medicine. And then from there, I went to my first yoga class, and that was that. I mean, a long story that slowly brought me snippets into where I am now. In 2006, I started dating my husband and I went to an OB just, before we were getting engaged to make sure everything's okay because I had radiation and I had all of this reconstruction in my whole abdomen. And the doctor told me, you look okay, but you'll never be able to carry children. So just know that you cannot get pregnant. You cannot even go that route. It will spark your tumor to regrow because it's hormone sensitive. So if you're ever thinking of having children, just know you're going to have to use surrogate. And this was not, in Hollywood nowadays is like, oh, surrogate, sure. Or, we got to do what we got to do. This was way back when. And I remember leaving there and running. I was in the city at the time, but running to Brooklyn to see my boyfriend, my husband now, and telling him, you got to break up with me. I can't have children. And there's just no reason for you to have to deal with this. I felt very broken, very, very broken. And I just didn't want him to have to start that journey of like all of what I was living with. I just felt like kind of like, let me take him out of this mess and just make it easy for him, break up with me. And he looked at me in the eye and he was like, we'll adopt. If we have to adopt, we'll adopt. And if I had any doubts, that definitely, sealed it for me that this is definitely someone that I should be moving forward with. So we got married in 2007. And in 2007, I will never forget the yoga class that I was in where I just closed my eyes and I said, my mind is going to envision something that my body thinks it can't do. And at that moment, I envisioned myself being able to carry a child. And I didn't know what that meant, but I just felt the power of my mind in a way where this is now 4 years after my initial cancer diagnosis. I finally felt like I was in my body in this class. And it wasn't because the teacher was so fabulous. It was just because of my own ability to connect finally after this journey in my mind into my body. So now, since 2007 until now, has been almost 20 years. And that it has definitely been lots of experiences along the lines of these, but the practice has evolved since then.
Can I ask if you're cancer free?
I am cancer free. Thank God I am cancer free. It doesn't mean that I don't live in fear.
Right.
In blippets, every day things come up where, I'm like, okay, but that's this. And that's why I do and live this lifestyle is to catch it, to not get stuck in the fear based because it is scary to be a prisoner of the mind and where it can go. And you know what? None of us know. None of us know. And what they told me back then is that you're lucky to live a year. There's nothing we can do for you. So we monitored it every 3, 6, and then once a year until it showed about 5 years free. It was a very long journey of watching it shrink back. It was kind of like living with it for many, many years of just seeing it slowly shrink over time after radiation until they couldn't find it anymore. Thank God. I do live with chronic after effects of the depth of my surgery. So I live with lymphedema, which is a chronic swelling of my left leg. And I have to wear a compression garment every single day, 23 hours a day on my leg. I take it off for 1 hour to shower. So I have little blippets of a reminder like, keep your feet on the ground, stay grounded, never forget this part of you that I still do live with. But here I am.
Okay. So much I want to break down. This was such an emotional story, and I feel so connected. And first of all, like just celebrating all of your resilience. The leg compression trophy. Your reminder that you did it. Okay.
It's very true.
Trophy. It's also your reminder too, like some people have to set an alarm on their phone. Some people have to like say their affirmation all the time, but for you, you see that and you're like, whatever I'm stressing about is not that serious.
Yeah.
So again, like positive there. The other things I want to break down with this is when you say one thing that you phrased really well was, what does it feel like to not be in my body? And
Mhm.
that was so funny to me because I ask clients all the time to journal on, well, how does it feel to be in my body today? And I remember one client in particular is like, what do you mean? What does it
Mm.
feel like to be in my body today? I'm like, how does your body feel? If you ask it, if you pay attention to it, if you connect with it, are you feeling anxiety in the heart or pressure in the heart? And this specific client went through a lot of anxiety. She still does, right? She experiences anxiety. And for her, she had no idea what that even meant, how to even connect with her body. And it's such an interesting question because I think most people aren't even aware that they're living outside of their body, that there's
Agreed.
something going on in the body that we want to escape from, right? Or something going on in
Yeah.
the environment that we're avoiding. And the body always not only keeps score, but also gives us these little reminders that, like, hey, wait a second, something's not right, right? And the
Hmm.
body is just the stress and the anger.
Yeah. I also think it's so easy. It's easier to leave our body than it is to feel, right? It's easier to go out because you can busy ourselves, you can scroll, you can go do something for someone else, you can busy yourself so much that you don't have to feel.
Mm.
So it's funny, a lot of people, like the buzzword now is like, healers and healers and healers. And I think that's great, but I think the healers are really just because people are able to feel. So it's like, can we feel first? When you can feel, then any healing can happen. But until we can feel, I mean, we can do so many things to numb. And it's almost like the easier way out. Like scrolling is our adult pacifier.
So I think that's the biggest illusion that we all subscribe to. Because when we escape, what we're doing is making the healing process so much longer.
Oh, for sure.
It might feel tougher to be in the body. It might feel tougher to feel the pain of a breakup or whatever it is that you're going through, an illness. But in reality, the quicker you could feel it, like you said, the quicker you can heal it.
100%. I mean, but try explaining that to the world that just wants like that instant hit, of that dopamine hit and fast, fast, fast. Everything is this quick fix. We're living in this instantaneous world where you could have anything to delivered to your house in under 30 minutes, and how much faster you can get from point A to point B, and how can we cut corners of
But here's the wonderful
biohacking.
thing. The wonderful thing about that, about cutting corners and instantaneous, is the more you get, the quicker you burn out, the quicker you have your rock bottom. So go escape, go get that dopamine hit, go do all those things, and I'll see you in about an hour on the floor crying,
Exactly. And
right?
that's why it's like, I always say is that we don't break our weakness, we break our strength. So, like, these things were made to help us, but we're not using them so much anymore in ways to help us. They've become our Achilles heel, they've become the things that are also harming us.
So here's the thing. From my own experience, I could say that you're never not gonna do what you're meant to do. I'll never forget, I was at a job that I really hated, but it was so safe. It was so, so,
Mm.
so safe. And I remember like every day walking there was a period of like a month. I would just be like, this is like Groundhog's Day. I'd pass the same tree, make the same right turn. And then one day I go and I just get fired. It was like the weirdest thing. I just sit there and they're like, so you're fired. And it was like really like bow tied. And I was just like, thank you. Like, thank you so much. But I had a feeling it was coming because it was too very regular. Like it felt
Mm.
weird. Again, that groundhog feeling kind of thing. And I remember thinking like God really, or the universe really, whatever you want to call it, just pulled the rug under from my feet. Even though I knew it was coming, I didn't want to let the job go because it was so secure. It was so easy. It was so whatever. But it did end up leading me to all the most perfect places. And I think the quicker we could find the hindsight in anything, the happier, more healed, more whatever you want to call it, you're going to be.
100%. And it's hard when you're in it because you don't see that light. It's just, it takes trust, it takes faith that, like, I'm in this darkness now, but, or, I'm in this heaviness or this not joyful moment, but it's part of it. It's part of what's going to be through on the other side. It's like we all want to live in like blue skies and rainbows and unicorns, but, day 20 of that perfect weather, we do start to take it for granted a little bit. So it's like we need that friction to kind of like
Help us.
keep us in that space where it's like, oh, okay, I have that appreciation. That darkness is like the greatest blessing. It's like my teacher always says, don't waste a good crisis, right?
Mhm.
That's where it's like every 10 years, there's a something that just shakes you up. Hopefully not, but there's always a something. And it's like, well, I can just ignore it and wallow in it and like let this take me down, or I can like get it together and use this as the catapult that.
I always say it's like the problem only comes after the solution. When we're not on the right path, it's a gift. And the problem goes away
Mhm.
the second that we're like, oh, we learned the lesson. Right? It was like when you were able to lean into the uncertainty and into the darkness and you just surrendered, that it was like, okay, we're okay. We're seeing it shrinking, right?
Right.
You went internally. And then again, that fear always kind of stayed with you, but it was also like, I can really now have faith in certain things. Like, I don't know if you would have been able to use your mind to help yourself carry your own child if you didn't have tremendous faith from witnessing your own disease, right? The tumors
Hmm.
shrink. Like, and that was a miracle. And that really,
100%.
yeah, anchored you.
100%. I also feel it's like we only know darkness because we know light. Like there is no one without the other. And so it's like the polarities are the polarities in all of life, in all of great nature. We know summer because we know what winter feels like, is that juxtaposition of that's what it means like to live in this world as a human, is to live with the yin, the yang, the polarities of it all.
We're touching on a very interesting thing that people ask me sometimes, which is like, what do people with all the money in the world do? Right? Because a lot of people's motivation to life is making money. And I do really believe that our entire purpose on this universe, in this earth, is to create, is to build and leave a legacy that people find permission in to go ahead and build their own creation and leave their own legacy, get inspired and build, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
not growing, you're shrinking, right? You're moving backwards. And so all of this to say is that without those chaotic moments that may come 10 years for some people and 8 times in 3 months for another person, you can't grow because you're living the same mundane life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing in the same.
And some people will just go through life coasting and doing that same thing. I wake up, I go to the gym, I go here, I go shopping, I do my groceries, I go for my hair blowout, and I go for the lunch. And some people will go through their whole life and just have that. And I always struggle with this of like,
Tell me, because
I
my
have to
favorite.
show them, I have to teach them. No, I need to wake them up. They need to feel, they need to get out of that. They need to get messy and get up. And my teacher always says, and it's so true, it's not your job to wake the sleeping. Not your job to wake the sleeping. And it's something I struggle with all the time because I want everyone to feel expansion and freedom and what it feels like on the other side. And he
But
always
we
reminds
need
me,
those people. We need
we,
that. When I was
yeah,
working my 9 to 5, there was a father who was my coworker, and he was like about 58 years old, and he would just share his whole life story with me. Like every single day, complain about his wife, complain about his job, his father. Like I knew every single detail about this man's life. I really probably still know every detail about his life. And I
you're
was
like, I wish I could forget some of these details.
right, right. And I wish the same thing. I'm like, I wish I could just wake this man up. And like, I would try, like, I would say little things to try to like spark him, like, maybe there's another way or whatever. And he would reject all of it, like autopilot reject. And it came to me that, and this kind of shows like with the whole meaning and purpose of AI too, is that we need sleeping people, right? Without
Mhm.
him, if he was so awake, who would be working for this boss, for this company, right?
Right.
If everybody was so awake, everybody would have all these amazing ideas and and
Hmm.
not be able to work for anybody. Now, there are people who are awake that work for others because their purpose isn't in being a CEO or a founder of a company, but rather maybe like something else, whatever it is that their passion is and their authentic code is coded for.
Hmm.
So we need those people. And
Yeah.
whenever we don't need them, what happened to the toll tellers? I don't know what they were called, but their job right now it's all
Yeah.
electric.
Yeah.
We don't need them anymore. And guess what? They all found jobs.
Right.
And
Right.
now there's certain people that it's time for them to wake up. So we don't need them just sleeping anymore. And so AI can take over what they
Right.
were doing.
Right.
So
It's true. And I also realize, and one of the things is that that's what they're capable of. That's what their path is. And who knows why they can't go deeper? Maybe there is something that would have just been too jarring and too alarming for them to relive. And so, acceptance for the fact that we are all on our path. And it's not my job to show everyone this work. And I want to share with people that are, open to feeling and going through it all.
I think that just like there's zillions of doctors, like, and so many of the same type. Like, just think about how many pediatricians there are, and for some reason, they're all booked out for 3 months in advance. But there's like so many. Like, how is that possible? But like, not every person, not every patient is going to love every doctor, and not every doctor is for every patient, right?
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
you needed a very specific doctor. And so I do believe that each person that we come across, even if it's just bump shoulders with, we are gifting each other energy,
Yes.
right? Even just like you're like a crystal. Your body's not made up of flesh, like just meat. It's made out of pure crystalline energy from the earth, the flat, like the dust from the earth. And
Hmm.
your bones are crystals and they're encoded with the energy that you are, that your intentions in your morning and your work, right? You live a very intentional life. Your sound healing, getting into that angelic realm and doing all of these things. And simply by just doing that, you emanate a certain energy. And
Hmm.
somebody getting into your world, whether it's taking your class, following you on social media, whatever it is, they're benefiting and gaining. And again, something might work and something might not click for them. But again,
Hmm.
everybody's there for somebody else to help them throughout their path. Their
100%. I always say there's like a million ice cream flavors, right? And everyone gets to pick which is their favorite ice cream.
hmm
And just like that, you're going to connect with who you're meant to share and connect with. And it's not one size fits all. And that's the whole idea of this practice, is that it's not one size fits all. And every time we come to the mat or we come to sit with ourselves, we're never the same. When I sit to meditate in the morning or practice versus at night, it's like, a million places you've been from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Something even is just to always be open, I feel, about this practice, is that like we are always learning about ourselves, about each other, about the world.
What's something that you learned recently that
Oh,
was so good you want to share?
so actually like three things since last night. One was really cool. I was looking at, I know you're very into Astro Torah also.
Love her. Love
So I
her.
have my chart that some of my students got me last year for my birthday on my wall next to my bed, in my room.
Beautiful gift from Ashotora.
Yes.
Oh my God. Love
The
Naomi.
most gorgeous gift ever. And I took a picture of my card last night as I was looking at, and I've always known my signs, but I never put it together in this energetic way. And I'm 40 years old now. And just last night, it clicked on me. My sun is Pisces, my moon is Capricorn, and my rising is Sag. And when I looked at the Hebrew words of what she wrote,
Wow.
um, it was Dagim for Pisces, fish. Capricorn was a land animal. I believe it was cow, Gadi. And Sag was Keshet, rainbow.
Wow.
So I learned last night, I said, that makes so much sense. That's exactly how I feel going through this planet. I feel water, ground, and sky. Like every part of me feels all three. I don't feel like I only gravitate towards this. I feel like through my journey, each one has served its purpose: the celestial, the water for healing, and feet on the ground. So that was just last night, and it like I've always known that, but seeing the Hebrew word of it clicked with it in a way that I didn't realize.
Different perspective.
Yeah,
I love
that's something I learned. I learned another thing this morning, which was really cool, which is that within the darkness, this was just on like something I was listening to while I was driving. Within the darkness, during certain times in our lives, there's two options for light. Sometimes we can't be the light. Sometimes we need a little bit of external help.
Mhm.
And that's when there is this idea of a window with light coming in that we can receive the light from.
Mhm.
And other times in our lives, we have to be the light. And that's so full circle to what you just said about the stardust, is that that's when we have to be the diamond and shine the light from within. So that was just this morning, something that I heard that like was a beautiful.
You always have this wick, right? And what you're describing is when somebody else just has to light theirs to yours to
Mm-hmm.
help you really see your path.
Yeah.
Interesting thing that came to me while you were talking about uncertainty and purpose, basically, right? Those that are sleeping and those that are awake, is that I really truly believe that we will never miss what's meant for us. And I've always preached that. And I remember one girl saying, I just don't believe that's true. Like, I do
Mm-hmm.
believe I could 1000% miss what's meant for me. And here's the thing. I do believe that in reincarnation. I do believe that no matter what, we will fulfill our purpose and what's meant for us will be ours,
Hmm.
but we're not on a time clock. Okay? Nobody is saying that it has to happen right this second.
Yeah.
God, the universe knows that you will do it. If it's not in this lifetime, you'll do it next lifetime.
Hmm.
And the thing is it's either going to take you longer or shorter. And then connecting back to what we said earlier about how you can either escape your body, and that's just going to take you longer to really do the work necessary to have the strength, the mindset, the tools, the support system, even to go and crush it in life and
Hmm.
align with your purpose. Or you can take the really long way and say yes to the things that you wish you were saying no to and continue shrinking so that somebody else could feel bigger and do all the things that will just stop you, block you, and slow you down from what you're meant for.
100%. 100%. I think that so much.
So much.
I think that when it's meant to be, people will get their signal and in different ways, and maybe not in this lifetime. And again, that's their dharma, that's their path, is that it'll come to them when they need to. But my purpose is to serve from what I want to share, what I practice. And if it resonates and if it helps one person, great. But everyone's navigating life in the best way that they know how, and that's helpful to them. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I'll never forget after my third child, I was so postpartum. So my three children ended up all being C-sections. So more surgeries and more, I think, for safety reasons on the doctor's part. They were afraid to let me natural because of my history of all the reconstruction I had. And I was kind of just set up for this way. And there was so much disappointment. There was so much like, why are you navigating how I'm going to deliver this baby? Like in my mind, it just was like, this is what I am also meant to birth naturally and I can do it. And this was, I guess, in a way where, it was kind of just like the medical world pigeonholed me in. And I'll never forget after my third, it was like, I knew this was my last child. And I had such severe postpartum because of my delivery, because of like kind of closing that chapter that, I'm one of nine children. So like three is a blessing. I wasn't supposed to have one, they're a miracle. But, I come from a really big family that three still did feel small. And I'm so grateful for one. But it was just getting the acceptance to be like, okay, this chapter might really be closing and being okay with it. And I remember going to my doctor and just like telling him some of the feelings that I felt. And I'll never forget. And this is how easy it is to get trapped in that mundane life of sleeping. He
Mhm.
said to me, you know, life doesn't need to feel this heavy. You can enjoy life. I can prescribe you antidepressants,
Mm,
just like that. It was just like, no, have you tried this? Do you want to go? What helps you alternatively? Have you tried journaling? Have you tried meditation? Nothing. It was like within the next breath, he said, I can prescribe you antidepressants. And I
ah,
remember being like, what, give me that prescription. And now I'm going to explore elsewhere.
mhm,
And just the idea that he was like, here's a prescription. I said, great. Now I know I can go explore the whole world of feeling. But it was so easy to get trapped right into that, like numbing.
mhm.
So I don't really fault, anyone that's going through life the way they need to because they're using the tools they have to right now. And
And
this
also,
works not for everyone.
society is pushing a certain way to live. I'm reading this book right now. I wish I had it in this room. I think it's called The Right to Passage. I don't know if you ever read it. It is
It
so
sounds familiar, but I don't think I did.
so eye-opening on the medical industry and how and psychology and emotions and women especially. But I do want to share that I do have a client, also a very dear friend, who had a similar experience than you for her first child. There was a
Mm.
lot that she told the doctor she didn't want that they gave her anyway. She said, I do not want the epidural. They ended up giving her the epidural. Like, so she felt like she didn't have a voice, and she ended up for her now she had her second, now she's having her third. She does at-home births. She's
That
like,
was my dream, a water birth. I took hypnobirthing classes. I wanted to give birth in a pool in my living room. Like I am that person. And that's why I say, like the universe has other plans for us and accepting the fact that I had to surrender to what I was being told was the best of my health because of this reconstruction and then that. And it's like sometimes we do have to pivot, and sometimes we plan and God says, like, nope, you're going to do it this way. And that's actually what I always come back to in this practice, yoga, meditation, is that the practice is not meant to be this like dogmatic. It's meant to make us three-dimensional,
Hmm.
you know, like a sphere, so that when these things happen, we bounce. And we have to have that bounce a little bit to pivot, to surrender, to accept, however you want to phrase it.
So three-dimensional body, mind, and soul. And this is the thing. Most people say, and you'll probably hear this throughout your life, is that the brain is the smartest, the best computer, right? Your computer is off the brain, everything, AI. When the truth is, it's not until the brain and the heart is connected that you have the most powerful brain. Because, or computer, rather.
Yeah.
Your brain is all logic, but it's also all fear and it's there to protect you. And so even if something's
Hmm.
good for you, if it's
Yes.
unfamiliar, it will instill fear in your heart.
Yes. And
You
it's from fight or flight. It's because
know?
we were hunters, we were gatherers. We had to think that way. So what was given to us as this protection can work against us in this world. And it's funny because actually one of the trainings I'm in the middle of, a lot of the Katona yoga that I study is based not on Indian lineage, but it's Chinese. So it's Taoist theory, traditional Chinese medicine. So we study the organs a lot and the elements. And it's so interesting that last week we've been studying the organs, and someone had a brilliant question where he asked, where does the brain fall into the organ system and the glands in Chinese medicine? And it actually doesn't fall into it.
Wow.
Yeah. They don't consider the brain as one of the organs
That's so
because it's meant to do that. Whereas they consider it more the mind, or they'll refer to it as like the third eye. But the brain in Chinese medicine is not looked at the way all of the other organs are.
wow.
Yeah,
I'm so happy you shared that with me because I never knew that.
me either until last week. We always talk about the kidneys, the thyroids, the adrenal glands, and how all of these things work together within our nervous system. And listen, in this world, when we teach meditation, we talk all about the brain and fight or flight and sympathetic and parasympathetic, and it all does serve its purpose.
Hmm.
But the brain is the bait. I mean, the body is present. The body doesn't travel. The brain is what time travels. It goes back, it goes forward. And so, if the body is here, the goal of all of this is to use the breath, that third dimension, as the conduit, the thread to bring our brain back into our body.
Yes, to bring our brain back here now.
Here, I'm here. You're here. We are in present moment. The body, this meat sack, this house that we get to live in,
Hmm.
is here. It's that mind, and that's what yoga is. The Sanskrit only sentence anyone needs to know about yoga is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is for the cessation, the fluctuations of the mind, to stop the fluctuations of the mind. That is yoga. So usually the gateway is postures, because when we feel, that's our first gateway in. Harder to sit down. We use the body as a distraction because it's tangible, because it's here.
Hmm. I think this is huge. This is huge. And I'm going to add one thing.
Yes.
And imagination is so important, okay? It is so important to be here now because what is anxiety? The fear of the future. What is
Mm-hmm.
depression? The fear of the past. So it is so important to be here now. But when you see a little kid in class, a first grader looking out the window and her mind or his mind is wandering, I feel personally the worst thing you could do is like, what page are we on?
Agreed.
What line are we on? And read
Agreed. Go look at the blue sky. Go envision the world outside.
exactly because that's what's going to motivate that child to dream big and do and create off those dreams. So imagination is so important. And
100%.
I do think being here now is crucial for calming the nervous system.
Yeah. Imagination is the creativity. That's the inner child. That's that three dimension. That's the sphere. That's what makes us voluminous. Imagination is everything. In the yoga that I teach, we use metaphor because everyone can imagine it. So it's like we use cooking, we use the body as a house, as a metaphor, because everyone knows a house. They can envision three floors in the body, they can envision the rooms and where certain things are done. Yeah, the imagination also, it threads us into into here in a way. It's like, yeah, we're envisioning, but you can relate it into here, into our body. You could feel with the imagination.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I'm loving this. Like I'm getting this. I'm loving this.
Okay,
Okay, rapid fire because we're like running out of time and I don't want
okay.
to. Rapid fire. So what are you doing now? How are you serving society now? I know that we spoke a lot about what you did. What's your services now?
Okay, so my services now are I teach yoga, asana, postures privately, mostly all week long. I teach one group class to women every week. And then with the full moon, I teach a circle, women's circle, where it kind of depends on like what the energy of that month is. We have open discussion, meditation, some breathing techniques, and sound healing. We
Beautiful.
do that in my home space in the winter. And in the summer, we take it out to the beach by the water. Breath work. And I love to work one on one mostly. I'm always taking trainings. So I try to take 2 trainings a year always. And I have been working with my meditation group since COVID when my studio in Williamsburg shut on Zoom twice a week. So I'm with my meditation group. We circle up with each other. Yoga, meditation, sound healing are my current services that I offer, but I am always in service of.
I love that. And if people wanted to like learn more about you and sign up to one of your classes, is Instagram the best place for that?
It is the best place for it. It is my worst and best thing. I want to break free from all of social media, but that is my mode of communication. So, yes.
And so your Instagram name is,
Tara underscore Luna Yoga.
love it.
Yeah.
Okay, rapid fire. We're continuing. What is, if you were to have a sixth sense or a spiritual
Mm.
superpower, what would it be and how does it help you and how you serve everyone, humanity?
Well, we all have a sixth sense, so this would be my seventh sense,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Proprioception is that sixth, so seventh sense, and I feel I have it. I feel energies, and I think it's what allows me to do the work that I do. Not everyone's, because not everyone is open to their energy. A lot of people are super closed, but many people, I feel their energies when they come into a room. I can hear some people's thoughts. Like sometimes I say things, and people are like, "How did you know I was thinking that?" So again, it's not always but I've noticed it, and I do feel that everyone really has an energy superpower like that.
I believe we all have all of the spiritual gifts, but we are definitely more connected to one or a few than we are to
Yes, yes, and I think it's learning how to unlock them, and it takes a lot of time
Mhm.
and good technique.
If you were able to go for dinner with anybody dead or alive, fictional or real, who would you go for dinner with and what would you eat? Oh, and
Such a
what's
good
a question you'd
question.
ask them? What's a question you'd ask?
Such a good question. um Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz. Wait, do you love the Wizard of Oz?
I love The Wizard of Oz. I love Dorothy, but I've asked this question to now 55 people, 55 episodes, and
And everyone says Dorothy.
nobody says Dorothy.
Oh,
I
really?
li- I get, oh, my husband. Honestly, I'd go with him, or I get Jesus
No,
a
no,
lot.
no.
I do get
Oh,
Jesus,
yeah, that's a cool one.
but
That's a cool one.
I get repetitive answers. I've never got Dorothy, so I'm excited.
Okay, Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz. And it's because I've learned a lot about the Wizard of Oz.
Tell us.
So, what was Dorothy doing? Tell me.
Escaping
Ah, escaping what?
reality. She went into that dream and
Hmm.
she was looking for something that was inside of her the whole time.
Hmm. So, not many people know that. Well, she wasn't escaping reality. She didn't know what reality was, and she didn't know her gifts, and she didn't know how to access them.
Mhm.
So, Dorothy was on a quest for consciousness. The
Mhm.
Yellow Brick Road was consciousness.
Wow.
And what she was trying to seek in others, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, the Lion, were what she was lacking in herself: courage, a heart, a brain. These are our chakras. These are the Sefirot in Judaism. She couldn't find those, so she was seeking them out externally, and they told her, I can't help you. I can't help you." Okay, but the wizard's gonna help me. He's gonna go. And then even the wizard was like, "No, I can't help you. I can't help you." And Toto, her dog, what is Toto? They took away Toto from her, right? Toto in Latin, it means everything.
Wow.
Toto was her world. She had no Toto. She had no sense of anything. And then she went to the wizard, and the fairy godmother came, and they threw water on her. Water is consciousness. And they told her, "Click your heels back together." right? Her red ruby slippers, pelvic floor, root chakra, and
Mm.
the rainbow, all of them, all of the opening of it all. And she clicked her heels back together, right? She felt embodied. This is the whole practice. She felt embodied, and then she was able to come home. She was able to go back home with consciousness, with all of these gifts that were within her. So
Yeah.
that's the abridged version of Why Dorothy.
Wow, I
I
never
love
heard it
it.
said like
I
that.
know, I know. And there's so much more. There's so much more. It was written around after World War II. So there's also a lot of beautiful Jewish things in there.
Wow. I have
Um,
to rewatch it now.
yeah, yeah. Now you have to rewatch it in a whole different light. I think I would ask her, how did she apply what she learned when she went back to,
Mm.
reality, which one is reality? I guess that's the real question. But how did she navigate going back to that old life with these tools now?
Hmm. Which is such a huge question because it was actually Naomi who said, it's so easy to do the work if you're going to be naked on the top of Har Sinai and chanting on
I always say that.
psychedelics,
I always say that, right?
right?
It's easy to be a monk in like India doing this work.
Exactly.
When we practice, on the beach and there's people over there and here making noise and screaming, someone got engaged this summer on the beach while we were in our meditation. I said, this is the practice. Doing meditation in the middle of Times Square, right? It's like life's not going to stop for us. And just like in The Wizard of Oz, right? That tornado, there's always a crisis. There's always a something. That tornado that flipped things up. How do we find center when it's swirling around us? The eye of the storm is the calmest part.
Mm-hmm.
So applying it back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wouldn't eat anything really. I would just talk because I have a very big flaw. I can't talk and eat at the same time.
Oh,
So if I'm speaking to her, I just
so is maybe like
doesn't matter what I eat. I guess I would order pasta because I love pasta, but I don't know if I would really get through any of
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
it.
Wow, I never heard that. Is there anything that you want the listener to know, or a book that really inspired you that you'd want the person who's just beginning to wake up or start this journey to, so basically like even looking at
Yeah,
yourself like 20, 25
yeah.
years ago, what would you want to tell yourself?
So I wish I knew about this book 25 years ago. I will say that. And so I guess that's a great question because The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer.
I
That's it.
love that book.
That is it. I mean, The Surrender Experiment was great too by him, but I would say The Untethered Soul kind of like wrapped all this up in like a really beautiful bow in a way where it was like, I mean, it took a while to read. Each page was like, ooh.
Hmm.
But I would say everyone who's curious about spirituality, about consciousness, should read that.
Beautiful. And if you were to almost initiate the next person to be on this podcast, who do you think would be a great guest?
Mm, like anyone, anywhere,
Anyone, anywhere.
you would have fun with. I could tell you two people, my two greatest teachers, like real teachers, not like, my children who are my teachers always.
Right.
Um, Abby Galvin of the studio on Bowery, or Jared McCann, my teacher, where it all began.
Thank you so
Those
much.
are huge ones, and you would have fun with them.
Hey, if you like this podcast episode, please download it, give us a nice review, and follow us on Instagram at Journey with VRD to get all the latest and the greatest updates. Till next week.